Okay, so here's the deal. This right here is a 2022 Chevrolet Silverado RST, and this over here is a 2022 Chevrolet Silverado RST. Yes, there are two different Chevy Silverado RSTs for the 2022 model year. That over here is the limited, this one here is the refresh version, and that is what we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about the differences between these two trucks. So for the purposes of this video, I definitely tried to get two as equally close RSTs as I could to make this comparison. What I will say off the hop though is the 2022 Limited that I've got here, that one has the Z71 package, or Z71, or does not have, pardon me, the Z71 package, whereas the refresh version over here does have the Z71 package. But really for what we're going to be talking about today and the differences between these two trucks, because you can still get it on the Limited, it's not going to make much of a difference. But what I want to do today is basically help you in your buying decision as to whether you should go with the Limited, maybe save a little bit of money right now with the way the programs are, or go to the refresh. Well, and if you can find either of them, of course, right now with the way that the inventory's been. But that being said, let's just look out front first, and I think it's pretty clear to see when you have them side by side. When they're not side by side, the changes of the new refresh version, you know, maybe don't come to light as much. But when you see them side by side, you can most certainly see the differences between them. Now, first and foremost, as you can see, the bow tie on the Limited version is a little bit lower. Now again, the Limited, if you didn't already know this, is the 2022 model, which is the same as the 2019, 2020, and 2021. It hasn't changed basically other than the model year. This is where the refresh comes in, where we have the bow tie up a bit higher. You'll see that we have the two bars here closer to one another, whereas in this case, obviously, they are separated a bit more. No question, the LED daytime driving lights, as you can see here, are certainly larger than what we're seeing on the regular Limited RST. And then the fog light placement is also different. They're a bit lower, of course, in this one, and they're a little bit different design, obviously, as you can see, versus what we've got over there on that one. Not to mention, the other thing, of course, is just the fact that the grille comes down a bit lower. See how here it kind of is right up here on the bumper, and it's a little bit different here. The bumper is basically coming up into the grille. It's just a completely different design. Not to mention the sideburns, as they call them, the air curtains here off the side on the Limited versus the side curtains here. And then your engine block heater placement is there, not too far apart from where it is on this one. This is a bit more inset here, as you can see. So basically that is obviously the looks difference in terms of the front end. Now, when we go to the side of these trucks, there's basically no difference between them whatsoever. When you look at the Limited over here, and we look over here at the refresh version, I'm not kidding you. There's absolutely no difference between these two. And in this case, one of them unfortunately does have the 5 or 6.5 box, but regardless of that, there's really no difference between the two. And then when we head around the back, same thing goes and applies back here. So for those of you who are getting into a newer style, by the way, and you have either a 19, 20, or 21, the nice part is, as far as the box is concerned, as far as the running boards are concerned, if you want to take the accessories off your current truck, they will fit on the new style refresh version, because there's literally no change to the back end of this truck, the box of this truck, or the side of the truck. It's only as far as cosmetics on the front end. Of course, we've got both of these mated with the you know, the 20-inch aluminum wheels. Of course, there's different wheels options available for these RSTs. But again, that is the difference cosmetically on the outside. Now, when we go to the back seat of the inside, you're going to find again virtually the same thing. Of course, you equip this particular one with leather. Speaking of leather, you can still get leather in the Limited, or you can get leather in the of course, you can see his cloth here. You can get Limited or leather, pardon me, in either the refresh over here or the Limited. No difference there. The difference would be actually nothing. So you can get the dark Gideon or the black leather, but if it's leather, it's going to be a bucket seat only option, so keep that in mind. If you get the bench seat, you have the option for cloth, okay, only basically. So keep that in mind. However, you can get cloth in the bucket seat, if that makes any sense, right? In both of these trucks. So that's a little bit of difference there. Now, one other thing I really want to talk about, which is going to be an important decision for you, aside from when we get to the front seat, because I think a lot of you already know there's a massive difference in the front, and we're going to talk about some of those things in terms of the interior. But in the interim, what I want to talk about is actually right here. It actually has to do with this engine we're looking at right now. That is the Duramax engine. Now, if you get the Duramax engine in the RST refresh, which is this one here, there's a major difference between this option here. The engine itself is the same. However, you now have the ability, the option to get the Duramax 3-liter turbo diesel, which I absolutely love. My wife has it in her Tahoe. We absolutely love it. But you can now get it with the Max trailer package, the Max tow haul package. It's a different gear ratio, which is going to pull substantially more than you can currently pull with the just the regular version of it. So that is something you cannot get in the Limited. So you cannot get a Max trailer package that's maxed up with the 3-liter diesel, only in the new Refresh. So if that's something you're looking at, if you're looking at towing, you definitely might want to take consideration and for sure look at getting into the Limited. Sorry, I'm talking fast. I want to get this, I'm on my lunch hour here, I want to get this all done, but obviously some exciting stuff. Now, obviously, the most exciting change that we've seen in this truck, well, I think that engine Max trailer pack is pretty exciting, but is on the inside, okay? So first and foremost, of course, there's your inside of the Limited, or the Refresh, pardon me. Here's your Limited. We're gonna talk about both. So I've got them both these trucks here in the bucket seat configuration, so you can see here, but obviously the main difference comes right there. So as always, in the bucket seat, or it doesn't matter what model of 2020 Limited or prior GMC Chevy trucks, we have the column shifter. Of course, now the massive change, we've gone to this right here, which is the electric precision shift, electric shifter. So obviously this whole layout's different. First and foremost, your wireless charging is here, which I love. Actually, I think I got my phone on me right now. Massive phone with a big case, fits in there beautifully. It's not going to charge because I have the big metallic or a big magnet on the back and stuff, but regardless, it's a pretty cool setup that way. We're going to talk about obviously the screen here and stuff in a second, but again, that is the major difference. Now, something I do want to say though, you can still actually get a refreshed 2022 RST with the column shifter. So if you're very adverse and for whatever reason you don't like this shifter here, you can actually get the shifter within or on the column. And how you do that is this way. The only way you can do that is by getting the bench seat option. So it would only be cloth, it would have to be bench. That'll still get you all the new stuff we're going to talk about in a second in terms of the new screens, but it'll get you the column shifter as opposed to the electric shifter down there. But again, if you get bucket seats, it's going to default to that right there. All right, so that's one of the major differences, of course, that some of you like and some of you maybe don't like. Now, how this stuff is set up over here, there's where your auto track 4-wheel drive stuff is, your parking brake, kind of the layout here. You've got the difference, in terms of the way that this looks here with the piano black around where your vent is there. Your Bose stereo system is down here. This is, by the way, we're obviously looking at the Refresh right now. And as we go over and look at the Limited, just to show you the inside of the door, the comparison there, you're going to see it's different, right? So you have this stuff kind of up on the side as opposed to on the lower. It's just a redesign, right? Obviously in this part over here, pretty much the door is going to remain the same on both of these. We're going to walk back there in a second. But I mean, there's not really much to show here. It looks, virtually the same, with the exception of, as you saw, it had a bit different styling, a little bit comes a little higher up with that metal trim around when you have the Bose stereo. This one doesn't have that, but regardless. Steering wheel, as you can see here, looks virtually identical. You're going to notice one thing that is missing though, and it's in behind here. I mean, you still have your volume controls and some of your audio control stuff on this other side, but the steering wheel for the most part looks the same. But one of the main differences actually in the steering wheel component of the Refresh versus the Limited comes in the fact that you now have the paddle shifter. Now, see here? See the paddle shifters here? Now, why is that? Why did they go to that paddle shift? Pretty simple, because they don't have really the ability or they didn't set up this way to shift when you're in low on there, whereas of course on the Limited you have the ability to shift. See those buttons there, the plus and minus. When you're in manual drive, you can shift through those. So that's where they're doing it. And I actually like the paddle shift. I like that aspect better. Now, what I haven't seen yet, because I haven't got a bench sheet model of the RST, but I would suspect the bench sheet model is not going to have maybe those paddle shifters, and it's going to have the ability to shift on the column shifter. Pardon me, right? Okay, past that, I got to sit in here for this because obviously this is the big difference right here. The whole layout of this and the pure size of this screen. This is not new to some of you, but some of you, it's just a really glaring difference when you have these trucks side by side. We are talking 13.4 inches of overall, and by the way, there's something in this that I want to talk about. You're getting with an RST you couldn't get in the past. There's a couple more things, so stay tuned. It's not just the difference in the looks. But again, 13.4 inch color touchscreen here. Okay, let me actually talk about the one thing right off the bat. Now you have the ability to have, I don't believe, oh, this one actually might be equipped with it. Actually, let's just try this out. We're going to put this truck in reverse really quickly. check that out. You now have the ability, obviously the tailgate's down so we're pointing at the ground, we have the ability for the surround vision camera. We did not and do not have the ability to get the surround vision camera in the RST trim level of this Silverado trucks, okay? So you now have the ability, you can order the surround vision camera. That's a big deal for many of you, especially if you're doing a lot of trailering and things like that, okay? Or you're somebody who maybe has a hard time seeing over the front of the truck or whatever it may be. So again, I'm just gonna put that in park by pressing that button. That's one thing. One thing I can tell you that I don't like actually, and I'm gonna do another video and show you how to disengage this. One thing I don't like is actually pertaining to when I start this vehicle. When I start this new style, redesigned, refreshed Chevy Silverado, one of the things they've changed now is called buckle the drive. I literally have to buckle my seatbelt up, which I do anyways, but if I just want to move it around the parking lot or move it, you know, in my driveway to move another vehicle in, whatever it is, I literally have to buckle my seatbelt up in order to put this thing in drive. Or I think there's like a 25 or 20 second, you know, waiting period, and then you can do it. But there is a way when you get into this screen here where you can disengage that. Again, I can show a video on that probably coming up, how you do that, but there is a way to disengage it. But that is one thing that's on the new style. I don't think it's going to sway many of you from buying one or not, but just as a heads up, that is something that can be disengaged if you do get a new style. And you see that. Now, of course, obviously down here, we're also going to have, you know, a little bit different, well, not a little bit, a completely different layout. Although your trailer brake controller is relatively in the same spot on here as it would be. I don't have the trailer brake controller built on this particular Limited, but it's in the same or similar spot that it would be right there. When that block is gone, right down here, that's where your trailer brake controller would go on that one. So but when it goes to the screen, again, talk about that for one more second, it has a completely different integration system here. It's all Google now. So when I say that though, Apple fans, don't be dismayed. You are still going to have the ability for Apple CarPlay. It's just the actual system itself, the built-in system, is now powered by Google as opposed to being powered just by, you know, a General Motors designed, you know, aspect. So that's the one thing. Now, two other major changes I want to talk about is actually in regards to the color. Of course, we're looking at two Summit White ones right now. You can get that color in both. There's three new colors coming for Chevy Silverados this year. One is the Glacier Blue Metallic. That is available on the RST. The next would be the dark ash metallic, which is titanium metallic in the GMC, but that is a color that's also available in the Chevys. There is another new color, as a heads up, that is available. You may have seen in the sand dune metallic, that, you know, military looking color. That is a color available for certain Silverados. However, the RST does not have that ability. So keep in mind, if you're ordering an RST, there is two new colors. But that being said, the Limited offers a color that you cannot get for 2022, which is the satin steel metallic, which I know a lot of you like, which is that kind of, you know, light gray, you know, between a silver and a charcoal color, okay? So if you're looking for that color, you have to go to a 2022 Limited, not the refresh truck. And then one more difference is going to come in this part of this. Well, another difference, of course, is right here, what we're seeing in front of us right now. That is, of course, a 12-inch fully digital programmable screen. Now you can change it to different looks. So you got classic, you have clean, digital, and then you can change what you have on either side. So you can have tire pressure on one side, your radio station on another side, or a compass, as you can see, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a massive difference. I think it's much more clean looking, and it's definitely more intuitive in terms of things that you can change to suit your driving style, or the things you want to see on the screen versus what somebody else might want to see on the screen. And if we go back over here, if you haven't already seen one, if you're doing your shopping, but you can see we have more of the analog gauges in this one, a much smaller screen here with much more ability to configure what is on that screen, of course, and the rest of this is all analog, so of course that's not going to change. So massive difference there. Now, one more thing I want to talk about, for those of you who do the highway a lot and you love that ability to have adaptive cruise control. Not an option on the Limited Silverado models. However, that is now an option in the refresh. So that's pretty exciting news. You can now get the ability to have the adaptive cruise control when it comes to the actual refreshed Chevy Silverado. So I've been talking a lot. I didn't really write any notes. I've just been going along on this. I haven't stopped to pause. So there's a good chance I may have missed one or two little things, but those are the major things. Those are the major differences when it comes between these two awesome RST trucks. Of course, I just want to help educate you in terms of what might make better sense for you in your buying process. There's no question that currently right now, if you can get one, the refresh is going to be a little bit more money than the refresh, but not really necessarily more at retail. It's more so just in the way the discounts are configured or interest rates and things like that. So anyways, all that being said, I just want to thank you so much as always for watching. Stay tuned for more. comparison videos when it comes to limited versus, you know, refreshed GMC Sierras, Chevy Silverados. I got a lot more exciting content coming up soon too. So stay tuned and maybe hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Thanks so much, everybody. Take care.